You just shocked the entire USA. Your name is trending in all 50 states because you did what even presidents can't. You shook the government. Every agency and high-profile figures are stunned by what you've done. They don't understand who you are, and that's why investigations are opening in every state. The whole nation is in disbelief because of you. So, what did you even do? All the top officers and authorities around the world are on your trail now because you did something no one saw coming. Secret societies and high-ranking individuals want to meet you. They believe there's something extraordinary about you, something in your skills, mind, or presence that no ordinary person has. People like you who defy expectations and seem unstoppable are rare, and the world notices. Before we dive into how you can fully harness this power in your life, pause for a moment. Hit that like button. Subscribe so we can reach 50,000 subscribers, and leave a comment with the number 11. This will send a powerful signal and amplify the energy of this moment. Stay until the end, because what you learn here could change everything for you. No one expected your name to echo from coast to coast, yet here it is, whispered in classrooms, debated in offices, shouted in living rooms. You didn't do it through scandals or shortcuts. You did it by doing something so rare that people had no choice but to look up from their routines and ask, who is this person? The country isn't reacting to chaos. You've sparked curiosity, admiration, and disbelief all at once. Your story traveled through cities and far-off towns because it punched a hole through the idea that only the powerful, the privileged, or those with connections can make an impact. You proved that a person with grit and the guts to keep going can shake an entire nation without ever stepping inside a spotlight. America isn't shocked because you're lucky. It's shocked because you showed what can happen when someone refuses to accept the limits placed on them. You broke expectations so loudly that the country is still echoing from the impact. There comes a moment, a split second, when people finally understand they misjudged you. Yours happened the instant your achievement hit the public eye. At first, the country wondered if it was a mistake, if the story was exaggerated, if the facts were incomplete. But then the truth settled in. You actually did it. And that realization changed everything. America quickly understood that you weren't just another person trying to get ahead. You were someone who had quietly built discipline, resilience, and skill while the world wasn't paying attention. You were the storm forming beyond the horizon, unnoticed until the moment you arrived with force. The moment they realized you weren't ordinary wasn't when you succeeded. It was when they discovered how hard you fought to get there. That's what stunned them. You didn't rise with a handout or a shortcut. You rose because you refused to quit. People in high positions spend years trying to make moves that shift the system. Some try to change the rules, others try to influence the narrative. But you, without authority, without fame, without a platform, managed to create a shift more powerful than any press conference or political speech. You changed the narrative not by speaking about what should be done, but by doing what needed to be done. You didn't just break barriers, you walked through them as if they weren't built for you at all. That's what rattled the people at the top. And the deepest irony? You never set out to outshine leaders. You simply outgrew the box they said you belonged in. By becoming unstoppable, you did the one thing many leaders only dream about. You inspired a nation without ever asking for attention. When a person breaks the pattern, every institution takes notice. It isn't paranoia, it's reality. Agencies pay attention to anything that shifts the system, whether it's economic, cultural, or personal. And you shifted it. Your growth wasn't loud, but it was undeniable. And that's the kind of progress that catches the eye of organizations built to track the unexpected. You didn't set off alarms. You set off curiosity. They're not watching because they fear you. They're watching because they can't explain how you move so fast, so quietly, and so consistently. They're used to predictable paths. You chose one no one saw coming. These institutions are trying to understand what you represent. A reminder that a determined individual can reshape outcomes without asking anyone for permission. Your name stands out because you're proof that personal evolution can be powerful enough to be noticed at the highest levels. People love to talk about limits as if they're carved in stone, but you treated limits like suggestions, something to acknowledge but never obey. You didn't ignore obstacles, you dismantled them piece by piece until they were small enough to step over. Your breakthrough wasn't accidental. It was the result of days where you kept going while exhausted, nights where you worked while others slept, and moments where the easiest option was to quit. But you didn't. That is what makes your story so impossible to ignore. Breaking limits isn't just about achieving something big. It's about proving that the boundaries placed on you were never real in the first place. You didn't just break limits. You rewrote them. Every system has rules, spoken and unspoken. People like you don't make it that far. People from your background rarely break out. People without connections don't rise. These rules weren't written on paper, but they were woven into society, and you shattered them one by one. You became the exception, not because you were chosen, but because you chose yourself. You showed that discipline can overpower doubt, that patience can outmaneuver pressure, and that persistence can outrun privilege. That's what makes your story so intimidating to those who prefer the world predictable. Being the exception is a role you never asked for, but you earned it through every struggle you overcame. You're living proof that exceptions aren't luck. They're built through relentless determination. If someone had made a prediction about your future years ago, it wouldn't have included this moment. The odds weren't just against you. They were stacked like a wall, but you climbed anyway. No shortcuts, no guarantees, just effort, grit, and a quiet refusal to stay where life placed you. Your rise wasn't cinematic. It was messy, painful, and full of moments where you questioned everything. People didn't see the sacrifices, the failures, or the nights where you felt like giving up. They only see the results now, and they're stunned. Your rise is unpredictable because you grew in silence. While others waited for opportunities, you built them. And that is why your story carries weight, because it proves that unpredictable doesn't mean impossible. Success normally spreads slowly, but yours hit the country like a spark landing in dry grass. Suddenly, millions of people saw in you something they had been searching for. Evidence that an ordinary person can move mountains. The reaction wasn't jealousy, it was recognition. People saw parts of their own struggles in your victories. They saw their fears in your resilience. They saw their hope come alive in your wins. That's why your success traveled so fast across the nation. You didn't just inspire people. You reminded them of their potential. And once a nation remembers its potential, everything changes. There was a time when no one noticed you. You blended into routines, went through struggles alone, fought battles silently. You weren't overlooked because you were unimportant. You were overlooked because you hadn't yet shown the world the strength you were building behind the scenes. The shift happened gradually. You made small improvements, small sacrifices, small victories that added up until suddenly the person you used to be couldn't keep up with the person you were becoming. And once momentum took over, everything began to move in your favor. You became unstoppable, not because you had everything, but because you kept moving, even when you had nothing. That kind of persistence is rare, and rare things always get noticed. Most people talk, they plan, they dream, they hope, but you acted. You stepped into the arena while others were still debating whether the timing was right, and that single decision, to act, became your greatest advantage. Action exposes strength that talking never will. It reveals character, endurance, and courage, while others were still imagining what success could look like. You were already building the foundation brick by brick. The gap between you and everyone else isn't talent. It's your willingness to do the work that others avoid. That's the power that turned you into a force the nation couldn't ignore. The more people learned about you, the more questions they had. Not because your story is mysterious, but because it breaks patterns. High-profile individuals often rise through predictable paths: education, money, connections, visibility. You rose through resilience, discipline, and an unshakable refusal to stay down. They can't categorize you. You don't fit the usual boxes. You didn't follow the expected map. And when someone can't be mapped, they can't be controlled. That's why you draw attention from people who usually don't pay attention to individuals like you. Your unpredictability isn't a weakness. It's your signature strength. It's the reason high-level people are watching, because you represent a new kind of success they didn't see coming. Systems, schools, corporations, industries aren't designed for unpredictable people. They're built for patterns, for averages, for the expected. You became a walking disruption to those expectations simply by growing faster than the system anticipated. You didn't break rules. You outgrew them. You didn't challenge the system. You rose beyond its reach. That kind of growth forces people to rethink everything they assumed about what an ordinary person can achieve. Your story shakes systems because it reminds them of an uncomfortable truth. The human spirit cannot be measured, limited, or predicted. It can only be underestimated until someone like you proves them wrong. Determination isn't loud, but its impact can be. Your consistency, your refusal to quit, your willingness to improve every single day, those choices built pressure beneath the surface until the moment everything shifted at once. People think earthquakes happen suddenly, but they're actually built over time. Tiny movements, tiny adjustments, tiny stresses that eventually erupt. That's your journey. Every setback, every comeback, every small win created the momentum that finally exploded into national attention. Your determination didn't just carry you forward, it shook the ground beneath everyone watching. It reminded the country that one committed person can shift the entire landscape. Institutions move slowly. They have committees, procedures, layers of approval. But you moved with urgency. You learned quickly, adapted quickly, and reinvented yourself faster than the world could categorize you. While institutions debated change, you became the change. While they discussed progress, you embodied it. While they waited for permission, you forged your own path. That speed, the speed of a determined individual, will always outpace the speed of any large system. You didn't outrun institutions because they're weak. You outran them because you're agile. You don't wait, you move. And movement creates results that can't be ignored. The most powerful part of your story isn't your rise. It's the fact that no one predicted it. You weren't supposed to be the one who shook the country. You weren't supposed to be the one who became impossible to overlook. But you did, and you did it on your terms. You became the person no one saw coming by refusing to settle for the version of yourself that the world expected. You upgraded, evolved, adapted, and transformed until the old version of you became unrecognizable, even to yourself. You represent a truth people rarely talk about. The most unstoppable person in the world is the one no one expects. And now that they've seen what you're capable of, they'll never underestimate you again. There are moments in life where words fail, where achievements echo louder than any announcement. That moment happened for you when the world finally saw what you had accomplished. People couldn't believe that an individual, just one person, could move mountains and disrupt expectations that had stood for decades. Your impact left conversations paused, jaws dropped, and minds racing with questions. You left everyone speechless, not because you sought attention, but because you achieved what so few could even imagine. While others were waiting for the spotlight, you built your path quietly, fiercely, relentlessly. And when the world finally caught up, they had no choice but to stare in awe. Speechless isn't just a reaction, it's recognition. The country wasn't just surprised, it was humbled. Your story reminded them that the extraordinary doesn't always come from power or privilege. It often comes from grit, vision, and an unstoppable mindset. There was a time when no one noticed your name. You blended in, invisible to most, walking a path that seemed ordinary. But beneath the surface, you were preparing, learning, and pushing boundaries without anyone realizing it. That quiet preparation became the engine of something unforgettable. The world rarely celebrates the ordinary until someone transforms it. You became unforgettable, not because of luck or a single lucky break, but because you refused to settle for mediocrity. Every challenge you faced, every obstacle you overcame, contributed to a story that would resonate for years. Now your name carries weight. It inspires, provokes curiosity, and commands attention. From ordinary to unforgettable, that transformation is the proof that determination and consistency create legends out of everyday people. People love to set expectations. They define limits for others and assume those lines are immovable. You didn't just meet expectations, you destroyed them. Every prediction about your potential was too small, too narrow, and far too simple. You didn't just outperform. You shattered the boundaries of what anyone thought possible. The beauty of your journey is that it wasn't flashy or reckless. It was methodical, persistent, and calculated, yet filled with a fire that made your progress unstoppable. Every time someone assumed they understood what you could do, you proved them wrong again. Outperforming expectations isn't about proving others wrong. It's about proving to yourself that limitations exist only for those willing to accept them. You rewrote the rules of possibility, and now everyone else is catching up. Names carry power when they become associated with achievement, determination, and influence. Your name is now one of those names, a symbol of resilience and unstoppable growth. Suddenly, from small towns to large cities, people can't stop saying it, discussing it, and wondering how one person made such a massive impact. This isn't about fame. It's about recognition of effort, consistency, and audacity. People remember names that are tied to action, not talk. And your story is now embedded in the minds of thousands, if not millions, because your actions spoke louder than any rumor, expectation, or doubt. The fact that everyone remembers you now is proof that extraordinary efforts resonate far beyond the moment. Your legacy is already forming, and it started because you refused to be invisible. Limits exist to challenge us, but most people accept them without question. You, however, didn't. You tested every boundary, stretched every restriction, and demanded more from yourself than anyone else ever expected. The world saw the impossible bend as you refused to let obstacles define your trajectory. Limits aren't meant to be broken by everyone. They're meant to identify who has the courage, resilience, and strategy to overcome them. And you became that person. The rules that others accepted as unmovable suddenly became guidelines for your relentless rise. This bending of limits isn't just personal. It sends a message. It shows everyone that boundaries exist to be challenged, reshaped, and ultimately surpassed when determination meets purpose. Some people come into a scene and blend in. Others arrive and change the game entirely. You were the latter. The world wasn't ready for someone to approach challenges the way you did, but that's what made you unstoppable. Your moves weren't predicted. They were decisive, creative, and relentless. Being a game changer isn't about style or presentation. It's about execution. You saw opportunities where others saw obstacles. You took risks that others avoided. You disrupted expectations and created results that left even experts wondering how it happened. And the beauty of being unexpected, it gives you freedom. People can't anticipate your next move because your drive is rooted in vision, not imitation. You didn't just play the game, you rewrote it. Once, your work, your vision, and your potential were unseen. You existed quietly, refining your skills, learning from failures, and silently building strength. But the moment came when shadows could no longer contain you, and you stepped into a spotlight the world didn't expect you to occupy. Center stage isn't given, it's earned, and your journey proves that consistent, quiet effort eventually commands attention. The people who ignored you are now witnesses to your unstoppable momentum. Your rise didn't need applause, it demanded recognition. From shadows to center stage, you became visible not because you sought attention, but because results have a way of speaking louder than intentions. Now, the world watches and learns from your unstoppable ascent. Nothing inspires awe more than someone accomplishing what everyone said couldn't be done. You turned disbelief into admiration by achieving milestones that others dismissed as unattainable. Your story proves that impossible is only a word used by people unwilling to push their limits. Every setback you encountered could have been the end, but where others saw failure, you saw opportunity, and where others hesitated, you acted. That determination allowed you to do what experts, skeptics, and leaders alike assumed was out of reach. Achieving the impossible isn't about luck. It's about mindset, resilience, and relentless pursuit. And now, your example challenges everyone who ever doubted what one person can do. Doubt is a universal experience. People doubted you, your abilities, your vision, even your persistence. But you didn't let skepticism define you. Instead, you transformed doubt into action, and that transformation became a story the entire country celebrated. Your journey proves a critical truth. When others underestimate you, it's not a limitation, it's an opportunity. Every time someone doubted you, you turned that energy into fuel, propelling yourself further than they imagined possible. Now, doubt has become admiration, skepticism has become applause, and the story of your rise is celebrated nationwide. You turned what could have held you back into the very thing that propelled you forward. Barriers exist to protect systems, maintain order, and keep people in expected lanes. You shattered them all, not recklessly, but with precision, determination, and strategy. Every barrier you faced became a testament to your unwillingness to settle. Shattering barriers isn't about defiance, it's about proving that limitations exist only for those who accept them. Your approach was methodical, yet fearless, calculated, yet daring. And the results left everyone questioning how one person could achieve so much. The force you displayed isn't just impressive, it's transformative. You didn't just overcome barriers, you made it clear that they were never permanent. Systems are slow, bureaucratic, and methodical. Individuals rarely outpace them. You didn't just outpace systems, you left them behind entirely. Your growth was so rapid, so relentless, that no conventional tracking could account for your progress. This isn't luck. It's a combination of focus, effort, and strategy. While systems debated, stalled, and planned, you executed, improved, and conquered. The gap between you and those systems isn't coincidence. It's proof of your unstoppable drive. Rising faster than institutions didn't just elevate you, it disrupted expectations and showed the world what one person can accomplish when ambition meets consistency. People measure themselves against others. They look for benchmarks, examples, and inspiration. You became the benchmark. You didn't just achieve success. You set the standard others aspire to reach. Becoming a standard isn't about showing off. It's about embodying excellence in a way that inspires others to push harder, dream bigger, and act bolder. You became proof that extraordinary effort creates extraordinary results. Now, your story isn't just a personal triumph. It's a template. It challenges others to step up, work harder, and refuse to settle. You didn't just reach success. You became a measure of possibility. Rules exist to maintain order, but they also constrain ambition. You didn't just work within the rules. You outpaced them. You moved faster than processes, smarter than restrictions, and more strategically than anyone expected. Outpacing the rules isn't rebellion. It's mastery. You learned them, understood them, and then leveraged your knowledge to rise faster than anyone could predict. Systems designed to hold people down only highlighted your speed, determination, and ingenuity. Your journey demonstrates a vital truth. Systems may guide progress, but they can never contain someone who refuses to be contained. Talent, opportunity, and luck are celebrated, but grit is what separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. Your story proves that grit, relentless effort in the face of obstacles, is the real key to massive, undeniable success. You didn't rely on shortcuts or luck. You relied on persistence, resilience, and the refusal to quit. Every struggle became fuel, every failure a lesson, and every challenge a stepping stone toward your unstoppable rise. The result? Undeniable proof that grit wins. Your journey now inspires countless others to embrace their struggles, keep going, and trust that relentless effort will ultimately pay off. True impact isn't measured by accolades. It's measured by influence. You didn't just succeed. You changed how millions of people think about possibility, perseverance, and personal power. One individual, through determination and action, shifted narratives that had been static for decades. People now talk about what's possible because of you. They think differently, dream bigger, and aim higher. One person changed the conversation, not by luck, chance, or timing, but by being unwilling to accept limits, unwilling to quit, and unwilling to let circumstances define their destiny. Your story proves a timeless truth. One person, acting with purpose and tenacity, can reshape the world. And now millions know that if you can do it, so can they.